Well, I have the difficult job of keeping everybody awake after lunch. So, bear with me. Let me, start with like something that I recently, with all the AI, discussions that we have been having. Recently, last week, I was in a, workshop, and, we had a lot of people in the meeting room, and, somebody came and said, AI is making our work much more, faster and simpler, but we are spending so much of time discussing about what to do with AI. So it's like, where is the cost performance and the cost optimizations around this? Because in spite of the fact that we are getting very, very optimized about, some of the things that we can do with AI, I don't know. I mean, we are spending so many hours just discussing what we have to do, and it's just so much plain waste. You wouldn't call wastage, but it's the maths doesn't kind of come together. So I think one of the important thing that I'll try bringing up in my discussions is the price performance, about what we are losing to gain some of the advantages as we go. So, we all understand that AI is going to transform the way we work. And technically, what we are in the world right now, it's going from a labor intensive to intelligence driven excellence execution. And the reason, we all understand is because, you know, there's the way the industry, and I'll keep India in mind, the way the industry, a lot of India in IT and various other sectors has kind of grown is by, the way you put more people, because people is available in India. And, every time something happens, you add like 10 more people to the work, and you believe that the work will kind of reduce from 20 days to 10 days or 5 days or something like that, right? And we believe that model works very well. Most of our industry giants in India have made money like that, right? Talk about any talk about the way Infosys came up, talk about any of the other big companies that have came up. That's basically been the model that has kind of evolved in the, last 20 years, like roughly the time that we started at least I started in the industry, right? And I think that has taken a serious plunge in the other direction now. So everybody has to go and evolve themselves to understand what this will bring. So I think that is the most important topic right now in most of the organizations. So, we know that the basic stuff that we do right now in an in IT industry or in tech industry, or actually every industry, is a lot about, how do we make life simpler. So things like that we do about operations, workflow, process, documentation, coding, everything that we do as a process, has, there's a way that AI is playing into that industry. But the fact is that, you know, the human, all of this can be automated to an intelligence driven execution. But is the what's the challenge in there is that as you kind of evolve some of these things, um, there is a human intelligence that is there, but that they can all be automated, but the human intelligence part of it is something that you cannot kind of take away from that fact. So the workflow, the process and everything has been automated, but the brain thinking that you bring with that cannot be automated, and that's kind of the gap that we see. So if you see like the new way of how the human efforts move, basically the human effort is kind of moving up the value chain, right? And that's what we'll go and see in the industry. So if you would look like a typical, um, the way you look at an organizations, and I typically talk about the organizations that I operate in, is you would like look like a triangle, right? A lot of people at the the lower level coming in the masses, and then you kind of, as you go, it becomes like a pyramid. And then what I see now is it's becoming more and more like a trapeze, which is this way and this way, right? And that's how the human efforts will be called, because what you will see is there is a product owner who's kind of thinking and all the time making an evaluation on what my product would look like. And that's the main role that will be there in the industry. So every time you want to build a product, there'll be a product owner, there'll be a couple of UI developers, there'll be a couple of product leads, or you can think about a DevOps lead, and you can think about like 3 or 4 leads, and then they'll all AI agents sitting below it. That's how I believe that the workplace is going to evolve in the near future, because the rudimentary work of coding, documenting, testing, everything that we do in every industry is going to be completely automated. And that is for sure going to happen. It's already happening, and that is for sure going to happen because, we are seeing very rapid evolution on that. Like, I'll give you an example. And we are developing features all the time and, involving. Um, we wrote a certain piece of code in 5 months. A few developers wrote it, and then we said, okay, let's do some experiments and, see how, for example, the Claude can write this code. I'll give this code and say, write it a better version of this code, and use this and deploy it and see if it gives us the same benefit. And the Claude wrote the code in like 15 days. Very good code. It's just that, 10,000 lines became, 25,000 lines of code. A code that we could not, no, maybe did not understand line by line, but it was still absorbable. Like, if you spend effort, you would understand the code. But the fact was that it wrote the 25 times of lines of code, very well tested, had all the lines of code documented, automation, test cases, everything written perfectly on that. So, in 6 months, we basically took 4 months to write the first level of code. We took 15 days to write the second level 2 of the codes. We took another 15 or 20 days to write a better version of the code. And what we released was the third version of the code. So, I mean, that's the kind of evolution that we saw in terms of, how some of these work is kind of, how some of these tools are helping us to evolve the way we are thinking, and how that the writing the code, or the things that we do around the code, is becoming so much more simplified. So the effort around that is becoming more and more simplified. Now, of course, there's all this question about, it hallucinates and this and that, but I think that we will cross that barrier pretty soon. So I think, that's one of the things that we have seen. um, how many of people in this here have kind of tried out vibe coding? Very good, right? So I think, I found this very like one of the most innovative things that has evolved with the things that I see in the market right now. Like, we use it a lot in all our customer discussions. We use it a lot in all our interactions with our design teams. We use it a lot in all our interactions with developing small prototypes. So instead of the way that we used to, I'm sure like there are a lot of people here who would say, go to a customer requirement, understand the customer, what he's asking, and then you write like this whole document of requirement, and then you kind of go and discuss it, whether this is what you asked, this is what we are going to do, this is how we are going to develop, and there's a whole project plan prepared on that. Versus the fact that now with all these tools, what we are going and doing is, okay, this is what you asked. You said you wanted a, maybe a simple example. You wanted a report with like this sort of metrics. You want something like this to be coming out. You want an API. You want a UI, which would look something close to this. Here's a sample. Bring one of the tools. I think all of the tools now do that, and be able to show them in few hours, right? So, this is one of the ways that we are seeing a lot of the other discussions nowadays happening in terms of how we collect the requirements, how we collect the, how we build small, good prototypes with the customer, how our discussions are going to look like. And I think this has made life a lot more simpler for even people like product owners, right? Our product owners, the way the product owners and the product managers and the whole industry who kind has evolved significantly. Like, at this point, even though I used to write code, for me doing this is pretty simple, right? Like, I know my requirement. I know I saw, Satya Nadella doing a great demo the other day on the Microsoft conference. And he used some of this thing live to be able to do some of that stuff. So I think this is fantastic things that is happening, which has made the journey of a developer to developer to how you can kind of do this, even though you're not very code savvy, you have not written a lot of code, but you can kind of use these things to be able to generate what you really want to do with the product, or where you think the vision of the product is. The other angle I also believe, and I probably started with that, is I think the way the services and the product companies, they're going to evolve on this very fast. I think the journey between them coming closer will evolve very fast. And I was in a discussion with Accenture, I think one of the VPs in Accenture or managing directors in Accenture, a couple of them. And I think they understand this problem. Like they are, none of them, they have been a very, very labor driven organizations and, and a lot of the services organizations. And they are now kind of doing a lot of shift to some of these tools. And, you are starting to use some of these products to use vibe coding and a lot of other capabilities and trying to make it more product agnostic. And they have a huge, huge benefit to be able to do that because they have a lot of domain expertise. If they really, really want to use that domain expertise and build some of these and use some of these things, I think they will go a long way, which we kind of, which will help to build the right set of products from there. I think, from a skill perspective, I think, we kind of very sure that some of these things, how they will evolve. Of course, you kind of read the, so as I said, like coding will not become very, very relevant. Deep knowledge, domain skills that people will have, they become very, very important. Like you really need to know what you're wanting to build. That is going to be very, very relevant. As a product owner, you should be very clear of what you're really wanting to build, and that will become relevant. So that's why I was saying it will become more from labor intensive to intelligent intensive, right? What do you know? What do you want to build? And that's where you are kind of, your value will come into the system. It will not be about, oh, I know Java, I can build the best integration products, I can do the best platform engineering, I can do the best DevOps, I can write all this code. I don't think it's going to be about that. And then um, the thing that we talk very strongly in IBM is the reliability of AI. And I know, I think Arsh was talking about it, and a couple of other speakers were talking about is that is very, very relevant. Like, how do you trust the things that you are building? And because IBM is known more about the enterprise AI and how do we build enterprise AI into the system, I think that is going to be very, very important how you build. So we do talk about a capability called AI reliability, which is of course about, how you build things like the governance, the human in the loop, and all of this. And I think that's going to become very, very important. Um, there's a whole you know uh, there's a whole theme around how you build enterprise level governance, the guardrails, and everything around that. And that for an enterprise sector, unless and until we get that right, and we haven't got right till now, like it is very, very relevant in small sectors, but the definition of that changes with every use case and every industry that you are in. So my trust, my reliability in a industry like financial and banking is a very different level compared to an industry where I'm building things like marketing and social is social content and those types of things. So it's very, very use case driven, and it's very, very industry driven about how much I bring to the, what do I bring to the reliability table. So I think that's going to be super important, that how do you bring the human in the loop and how do you bring the AI reliability is going to be very, very important. I think I talked about this, which is, I think it will be more about smaller productive workforce rather than, a larger group of working, which we has been the model like doing it now. So I think from, what leaders must do next is more about changing our operating models. As I said, it will not be about 5-10 people going and meeting a customer. What are your requirements? How do you do RFP? How do you do tenders? Let's work through it. It will be much more process simplified, more automated and governed in terms of how you go about doing it, and more human and AI collaboration. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't, we all understand that AI, doesn't replace, any of the work that we are doing. It just evolves it. And, as I see in the space that I've been on the data and AI, and I've been just working with data for last 20-24 years. And, now it has kind of evolved into the AI space. We all understand that AI is as good as the data. It cannot do anything more than what the data you have and the relevant data you have. So if we do not do well on the data side, and we have all know the stories of, I think some of the other speakers were bringing about, like what data it is trained on, what are you using to build your models, what are you using to build it. So a lot of it is all governed by the fact that how do you manage data. And I think that will be a lot of relevance. So, I think it's very important that when we are sticking to the, the workforce and AI, how, even though the workforce and the is going to seriously evolve, the education of how we involve how they use the data and how they are kind of using it for their day-to-day stuff will be very, very relevant. So I think with that, that was my last slide.